Hi, I'm Quentin Shepard. Welcome to the July episode of Current Conversations, a production of Gloucester County's Community Engagement and Public Information Department. You don't want to miss this episode as it's a two-part series featuring Katey Legg, Director of Gloucester's Parks, Recreation, and Tourism Department, who will be discussing all of the exciting programs offered by that department this summer. We'll also be joined by Tara Thomas, County Treasurer, who will be talking about the delay in the tax bills. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, my name is Gloria Williams with Gloucester County's Community Engagement and Public Information Department. Today, I am very excited to spend some time with a special guest. Today, we have Katey Legg, Director of the Gloucester County Parks, Recreation, and Tourism Program. Katey, thank you for taking the time. We know how busy you are, especially as summers come in or summer's here, but we really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us a little bit today about parks, recreation, and tourism.
Great, I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
As we know, July is Parks and Recreation Month.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what special initiatives are being planned by PRT to help celebrate National Parks and Recreation Month?
So we're really fortunate to have a national organization that supports the initiatives of Parks and Recreation, not only year-round, but especially during the month of July. So this year's theme is Our Parks and Recreation Story. And so the thought behind it is we want the community to say how Parks and Recreation is important to them. How has it shaped your life? How has it shaped how you recreate or what you do in your off time? Last year during the pandemic, the theme was really centered around staff. And so this year, while we may focus a little on staff because our Parks and Recreation story is really important, we do want to hear from the community. We have already started pushing out some social media posts asking for people to provide us that feedback. We want to hear from them. If they have a picture, even better. Show us how you participate in Parks and Recreation and what it means to you or your children or your family, or even what you feel like it means to your community. And I'm not from Gloucester. I will forever be a come here, and I'm okay with that. But I'm a Parks and Rec kid, and I never imagined as a child that this is what I would be doing. So you may see my Parks and Rec story in there too, and potentially some of our staff as well, but we really hope that we can get more of the community involved in submitting that. And even if July has already started, they can still submit it to us. We love telling those stories, regardless of whether it's Parks and Rec month. So it's a really fantastic idea, and it's a great way for us to celebrate Parks and Recreation, certainly in July, but all year long.
It's an incredible way for the community to get involved because everybody does have a Parks and Rec story.
I love to tell people this story. When I was a kid, I grew up in Northern Virginia, and there was this park right down the road from my house, and it had daffodils all over it. And I used to pick them. Please don't pick flowers in parks. I cringe now thinking about that. But I used to pick them and bring them home to my mom, and they were my favorite flower. And so, a lifetime later now to be a part of a community that celebrates the daffodil industry, it's just full circle. So it's pretty neat.
That's amazing. Well, we are so grateful for all the work that you and your team and the committee do to bring the Daffodil Festival to Gloucester. So let's talk a little bit about history. When was Gloucester Parks and Recreation established, and how was the Parks and Rec program in Gloucester? How has it changed over the years? I can't even fathom how much it has changed over from beginning to end, but just anything you'd like to share about that.
Sure. So the department was formed in 1973. So we're actually coming up on our 50th anniversary in a couple of years. And this is one of those things I had to go back and research. I remember vaguely during a county fair celebrating our 35th year. And so that popped into my head and I thought, oh my God, what year was that? We've got to be coming up on another anniversary. So now that I know that the 50th is coming very soon, I'm hoping that we can, do some big whiz bang stuff for that. Gloucester Parks, Recreation, and Tourism has grown leaps and bounds over the last 50 years. Certainly with the addition of Beaver Dam and then all of our other parks as well. Gloucester Point Beach, we're so lucky to have such a nice, small community beach. Sometimes we get folks that say, well, why can't you be more like Yorktown? Well, Yorktown is Yorktown. We're Gloucester.
Right.
and we like it. We have parks up and down the county. I'm really proud of Woodville Park. Such a community park. And that's what I like to tell people. This wasn't just a park that was planned, funded, and implemented. It was donated land, donated seed money, and a plan came from that. And through grants, donations, volunteer labor, we have this park that is phenomenal, not only for Gloucester County, but for the entire area. It was truly a community effort to make it happen. And I'm really proud of the playground that we were able to put in. It is fully accessible and has a poured rubber surface, making it so easy, whether it's a stroller, a wheelchair, a walker, you can just go wherever you'd like. And again, that was a partnership that required a significant amount of donations to match county funds in order to make it happen. So through all of that, not only have we increased the number of parks, but we've also changed how we offer programs and what we offer. No doubt athletics has been a huge piece of our department for a very long time. Pretty much everybody in Gloucester still says, I know Billy Moore. Billy was our athletic supervisor for 38 years, I believe. And, Ron is with us now. He's been here for several years and he's just taken the reins on that. And we still have Billy around because he loves us so much and he loves this community that he volunteers. So we still do athletics. We still do some of the things that we've always done, gymnastics, karate, that sort of thing. But we've started to focus more on some health and wellness and fitness. Yoga is huge. We're in the business of providing what the community wants. And they're thirsty for more fitness, more health and wellness. So we've really tried to accommodate that, whether it's through mental fitness. A new program that we've started is, we call it brain games. So it's really just about keeping your brain moving and active. And, we all know that the less you use something, the less it works. So right. We're really trying to encourage that and get our older adult community involved. Trying to bring in more of the history into our programming. We did a history camp a few years ago that was very popular. And it only went off one time. And for whatever reason, it didn't happen again. And then, of course, COVID, messed everything up. But it's back again this year and it's full. And it's amazing with new museum staff and new tourism staff and just getting all of our stakeholders together to provide this opportunity to children, especially in a year where they didn't get to take field trips. Wow. And their entire learning experience was so vastly different than what they normally get that, we're going to educate them while they have fun. So I'm really excited about the direction that we're going and the creativity that staff are showing in some of these programs.
Well, Katey, it's amazing because there's so much that goes into it and you don't necessarily know that. So it's wonderful to hear from you in your own voice about all of the incredible programs. Well, so you've actually touched on this a little bit. But I'd still like to talk maybe a little bit more, what role does Parks and Rec play in the physical and mental health of residents at any time?
Sure. I think if anything, we know it was important during the pandemic, but I think what it really did during the pandemic was make people realize how important it was to them before.
Sure.
You tend to take for granted the things that you always do because you've always done them and things have just always been there. I have 2 children, and they have both participated in department activities. And, I'll be the first to admit sometimes it's, oh, another Saturday game. Oh man, I just want to sleep in. But then you see the impact that that has on your children and the positives that they needed from that, that suddenly they weren't getting. So obviously we pride ourselves on physical health. Our goal is to keep people active, keep making those personal connections. I will tell you, Ron can can tell you who most of the kids are in the sports programs. So all of that kind of plays a role in making sure that our community members are well-rounded, that they're healthy physically, socially, emotionally. So we're always looking for new ways. We try to stay on top of best practices and new program opportunities. And we use our community members.
And this is a great segue into our next question, which, what are some new and exciting programs on the horizon for this summer and beyond? What is it going to look like in the future?
Oh, I wish I knew.
Right.
We keep saying when everything gets back to normal. Who knows what that means anymore? But we have slowly started bringing our traditional programs back. And I've mentioned a couple of programs that we've started recently. The brain games. In fact, I think we held our first one a week or 2 ago, and we held it here in our office, and it was full. I think there were 10 or 12 people participating, and they loved it. And they said it wasn't long enough.
Okay.
So there was a group of people that we may have been missing before. And, we were able to provide something for them, even if it was only an hour. I mentioned history camp. I'm really excited about that. My son is actually enrolled, so I can't wait to hear about it from a kid's perspective. We offered in October, we offered a drive-in movie, which is not something we usually do. We're actually going to hold another one in August. So and we're always looking. Staying creative is what we do. And, if we stop being creative and adapting, then we're not serving our community well.
One question that I was curious, and you've talked a little bit about this, about collaboration with other communities, but how does Gloucester's parks compare with other communities?
I actually try very hard not to compare, because every situation is different. Every locality is different. And I can just say that I am really proud of what we've been able to provide and accomplish, given the resources that we have. Our staff are very creative and flexible, and we do a lot of things ourselves. I'm just really proud of what we have, and we're not done. There's always room for improvement, always. It's about being adaptable. And, that's how I like to think about our parks in our department. We do still compare. We look at a place like Virginia Beach and go, wow, wouldn't that be nice? But, the grass is not always greener on the other side. Because then again, we have something here that maybe they don't have. And that's still that somewhat small town community feel. And, being able to see people I know when I'm out in the community because they've been to our parks or in our programs. And, that's not something you get in a bigger place.
Well, that was really, really well put. And I think that one of the most incredible things is, especially for a community our size, is that there really are parks for everybody.
It is a little bit of something for everyone. We of course have the athletic fields. We have more passive recreation. So, if you're at Woodville, we've got beautiful ponds to just sit and reflect. The Memorial Garden, Beaver Dam, you mentioned all the various trails and the water opportunities, and certainly our Blueways system. We're surrounded by water, and we want to get people out on the water. But our parks really do offer a little bit of something, depending on what you feel like doing that day, which is kind of nice.
Absolutely. Well, so what's the best way for people to get information about the parks and PRT offering?
So the website is definitely the best place to get information about parks and what the opportunities are at each park. Our parks are open every day of the year except Christmas Day. So they do not close for any other holiday. As far as community recreation classes, we have a new recreation software system that you can also get to from our website, and that stays up to date with all of the classes that are available, all of the activities. You can register online. It takes a hot 2 minutes to set up an account and go ahead and register. Follow us on Facebook. We do have our own Facebook page that is separate from the Gloucester County page. So it is Gloucester Parks, Recreation, and Tourism. And we have launched an Instagram page for tourism, which is Visit Gloucester VA.
How can people support Gloucester's Parks and Rec department?
So this is usually the part where people go, oh, she's going to ask for money. And no, not yet. We love volunteers, and money is great. Don't get me wrong. But we couldn't do a lot of what we do without volunteers. Our athletic program uses volunteer refs, volunteer coaches. Our special events, we pull in volunteers for that. Sometimes work days at parks, we utilize volunteers. If you have a skill and the time and you are interested, I encourage you to reach out to us and offer. We love our volunteers. We know that we can't do what we do without them. We do take donations. That's how we've been able to get some of what we have. Aside from those two things is, help us take care of what we have. Help us be good stewards of our property. If you see something, say something.
Katey, I really want to thank you for joining me today for this super interesting, very important, and very fun conversation about Parks, Rec, and Tourism. And remember, everybody listening, that July is National Parks and Rec Month. So please make sure to go to the Gloucester County Parks, Rec, and Tourism Facebook page and share your Parks and Rec story, whatever that may be. Katey, we appreciate your leadership and all that you do for our community. And thank you to everybody who tuned in for today's Current Conversations. For the most up-to-date information, make sure to check out the Parks and Rec website, as well as their Facebook page, which we will have listed in the comments below. And also, as always, you can find the most up-to-date county information at gloucesterva.info or facebook.com/GloucesterVA.
Today, we're honored to be joined by our own Gloucester treasurer, Tara Thomas. She's here to talk a little bit about the tax bills that were just sent out in the mail. Hopefully everybody's received those by now. The Board of Supervisors recently granted an extension so that we won't have to pay any late fees on those bills until the beginning of August. So good news there. Tara, welcome. We really appreciate you taking the time to talk a little bit with us today. Tell us just a little bit about the process of how these bills get put together, what all is involved. We know that you recently went with a new provider to get these bills sent out. Maybe tell us a little bit about what what made that decision to go with the new technology?
Thank you, Quentin. I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you to talk about the tax bills. I know they're near and dear to my heart, although people probably don't feel the same way. Our new software that we put into place took the place of software that we had had for the last 20 years, and it just had not kept pace with newer technology. And there were things that we wanted to do as a county to make things better for our citizens, to make things better for our offices, and to just, again, be able to take advantage of better technology. We ran into not unexpected issues as far as getting the tax bills out, because this is the first time that we've actually billed for taxes off of data that was generated in our new system. When we billed last fall, those bills actually, it was the data from our old system that we were just able to pretty much pluck the numbers from to get the tax bills generated. This time it was start to finish in the new system. And it's one of those things that anytime you're doing the first time process, it's working out just the policies and procedures to actually get the information generated. It's working with the software company to get the fine tuning done. And then it's working with our printer, who also ran into some issues as far as getting the bills put together. And all of that, despite our best efforts to try to meet our internal Memorial Day getting the bills out goal, we just could not get there. And we are actually very appreciative of the Board of Supervisors for generating that delay on the penalty and interest. We like to be the bearers of good news sometimes. And so that's definitely going to make things a little bit easier on us as well.
Absolutely. And important to note that the bills still reflect a June 30th due date, and you all had to do that.
So there's a couple of things. June 30th coincides with our fiscal year end. So from a numbers in the budget and the financial reporting perspective, it's important that we maintain that June 30th date. From a practical standpoint, we send out upwards of 60,000 bills, and they were already at the printer and well in the process of being actually printed, folded, stuffed into envelopes, and getting ready to go to the post office. We didn't want to hold them up any longer for the board to make their decision on the 21st. It was a strategic decision that we would rather go ahead and get the information out to people because we knew everybody was concerned about it.
Definitely. And it's also a good thing to know that if you have not received your bill, to please contact the treasurer's office. That just because you don't receive a bill doesn't mean that you can go without paying.
There is an expectation that citizens know they are going to be taxed and know that they're expected to know due dates and know that bills will be coming. And you're exactly right. We're not able to legally waive that penalty and interest, even if it's not received.
Okay.
So we are here. We know that the volume of incoming phone calls has been pretty heavy, and it can be hard to get through to us. We have made some changes to our phone system to hopefully answer or point people in the right direction as far as where their call needs to go to.
But everybody hates to receive their tax bills. Obviously,
I understand that completely.
We
My
all
family hates to receive.
Yes. Tell us a little bit about some positive things that this money goes to help many citizens in the county.
I used to frequently be called upon to do to speak to kids at the elementary schools, and that was trying to equate what we do as an office to them. Really put us in a position of focusing on a lot of those positives. Probably one of the biggest and most visible outside of us would be the sheriff's office.
Okay.
And that the money that we're collecting in general tax revenue is going to fund the sheriff's offices. There's contributions that are made to our fire departments from the county revenue. It goes to support general operations that citizens depend upon.
Sure.
Whether it be my office, or if you have issues as far as getting permits or building, there's a number of county departments, just our public information office, that we're in an age where to maintain contact with citizens and to provide the citizen or the services that citizens are looking for, it does require an amount of infrastructure to take care of that. And just, it takes people. And
it does.
The revenue, like I said, most people don't necessarily see anyone behind the scenes other than the sheriff's office. They see our office twice a year because they get those lovely notices from us. But it takes a lot to run and to operate the government that provides the services that citizens need.
Definitely. So many of us just enjoy getting outside, having a fresh air, beautiful place to go hiking or paddling, and we look at our parks that we're fortunate to have. All of those things, it's money well spent.
And the support for our school system.
Absolutely. To touch on one final thing today, the treasurer's office recently implemented some easier ways to pay not only the tax bills, but also other bills such as public utilities to make those payments. Could you talk a little bit about some of that?
So it's important to us to provide services that work for the way people want to do their business. Not everybody is of the generation that wants to sit down and write a check to us and bring it to the office. Although we still have, I can tell you from the lines in our office, we still have a number of people that want to come in and see us and write a check to us.
It was stretched out the door just yesterday.
Stretched out the door. But there's a component of the population that just, especially my generation and younger, that just, we're working. It's hard for us to get into the office. We want to be able to pay our bills when we want to pay them on our schedule. And we are pleased that we're able to offer some options for that. As far as our website is www.gloucesterva.info, and we have information on our payment options out there. The basics are that you can pay by credit card either in office or online for a 2.5% fee. And unfortunately, because we are the government, we really don't have an option not to charge that fee back to the person using the service.
Sure.
Anybody that's had any sort of business knows that fee is there, and typically the merchant absorbs it. But when you think in terms of tax dollars, you really have to think too, is it appropriate for your tax dollars to go to absorb the fee for those who are choosing to use that? We do accept electronic checks, so you can pay online by e-check, and there is no charge for that. The charge to the county is small enough for that service that we're able to do that at no fee to the payer.
Well, Tara, thank you so much. Is there any other information that you'd like to relay to our taxpayers?
We appreciate people's patience with us. We always go from being very kind of calm, steady, quiet office to when the bills hit, it gets crazy. And
it does.
Appreciate everyone's patience with us.
Absolutely. Well, we're fortunate to have your leadership in that office, and you've been the treasurer now for how many years?
21 years.
21 years. What an accomplishment. So,
well, I appreciate that. It is a pleasure to be here. It is great to have an opportunity to be of service to people. I like that people see that there's really a face behind the name, and if you come in the office, you're going to see me. So
absolutely. And it's always full of smiling faces. It's one of the happiest offices we can go into, especially when a lot of people are going in with a frown on their face. At least they come out with a smile most of the time.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Nobody likes taxes. We said that from the beginning. We're not crazy about it, but if somebody has to do it and you have to pay, we feel like at least we make the experiences as enjoyable as possible.
Absolutely. Thank you again for taking the time today. And if you have any questions at all, please, reach out to the treasurer's office, either by phone or on their website. We'll put all of that information at the description of this month's podcast. So thank you again, Tara.
Thank you, Quentin. Appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us. Please be sure to tune in next month as we chat with Dr. Walter Clements, Superintendent of Gloucester County Public Schools, as he discusses plans for the upcoming school year.